Welcome back, guys, to the Full Force Fathers podcast, Dave. Episode 60. We've hit another decade.
We have hit another decade, and where in the world is Brett today has taken another turn. Why don't you share with everybody?
Okay, so we're in the house, number one. So there's no more in the RV in random states, random places. We're in the house. I'm actually in Madison and Caroline's room because Andine is on a work call in the office, so I can't do the podcast from in there. And just due to extenuating circumstances this week, this podcast is we're getting it to you, but just not like the normal time frame and timeline like we would. So this is going to be one of these quick hitting episodes that we put out because obviously we're going to put out a podcast every week, but sometimes it's just the way it goes. But yes, so I'm in Madison and Caroline's room recording because the office is being used and Andine doesn't want my loud ass there. So I am in here. So hence the terrible lighting, hence the bunk beds in the background and all that good jazz. But we are in the house. Oh, not to mention we got chickens today. So we are a chicken family again. So that's cool. We're super pumped about it though. We love having chicks. We love having chickens, fresh eggs and all that good stuff. So we have chickens. We went and got 10 new chickens today, baby chicks. So the girls are all sorts of fired up and for those. And they're in their brooder and Pepper was introduced to him already since we got home, and everything's good. Now you and I were talking.
Who's more excited about the chicken, Pepper or Madison?
Madison, for sure. I bet you in order of excitement, it would be Madison, Caroline, Finley, Pepper, Andine, me. I mean, I love having the chickens. Don't get me wrong, but I know what comes with them. And not being in Virginia with the chickens now is tough because now there's not the free range capability where you can just let them out and there's grass and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a little bit different. And I put Pepper so far down the list because Pepper doesn't get to have any fun with them. Her job is to just kind of watch over them and protect them and not actually do what she wants, like play with them. So if she, so for her, we had chili in Virginia, so we had a rooster. We don't have a rooster this time around, or we hope we don't anyways, unless one of these turns into a rooster, which is potential because you have a 90% chance of them all being hens. And until I have a sprawling ranch somewhere in Arizona where I can have a rooster and it doesn't annoy anybody, I'm going to have 10 hens and have chickens, So,
yeah.
But no, so that was good. But yeah, Madison's over the moon. Like she couldn't wait. She couldn't sleep last night. It's like Christmas morning going and picking up the chicks. And then we got to the place and there's 325 chicks and she was talking to the lady and she knows everything about the chickens. And the lady's like, holy cow, you know a lot. And Madison, she's nuts. So, but it's cool. So anyway, so that's where I'm recording from. It is not dark. It is actually daytime out. I just have the blinds drawn because I don't know anything about glaring and cameras and all the other good stuff. So, it may look like I'm broadcasting in a closet in the dark, but I'm not. It is actually 11 o'clock in the morning and it's 90 out.
Too much sunshine. Got to block it out.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's where I am recording from. But we have episode 60 today, guys. Like I said in the beginning of the show, it's a quick hitter episode. We got a bunch of questions. We're going to just kind of go through them quick. This is one of those episodes that we kind of just have in the hopper waiting to go for times like this, where there's unforeseen circumstances, tragedies, kids have plays and schools and sports and life. And so we always want to make sure we have one or two of these going. So this is one of those days. So, but like usual, we're going to jump in with famous number 60s. Dave, you put the list in there today. So why don't you go through the very short list that is number 60s?
It's going to be a quick hitter episode, and it's going to be a quick hitter number topic for us today because not too many great number 60s out there. There's one that I found in the NFL. There's actually a few Hall of Famers, which is great. It's the only sport that has any Hall of Famers with the number 60. But this one, Chuck Bednarik, nickname Concrete Charlie. Do you know why his nickname is Concrete Charlie? Without looking at the notes that I put in, did you know what the reason was?
My guess is he labored or his dad made him pour concrete walls or something. I don't know.
Well, there had been talk like, he was a two-way player. So he played linebacker. He also played center. And they said his blocking and his tackles as a linebacker, he was concrete. Nobody was getting through this guy. But the truth is he was a concrete salesman in the offseason because back then guys didn't make nearly as much money as they do now. So he needed an off-season gig. So he went around and he sold concrete. How awesome is that?
I would like to sell concrete. That's especially out here in the desert. That'd be a great job.
What a deal! What a deal! So
Yeah.
yeah, Chuck Bednarik. So he tops the list. He also got Otto Graham. He was a quarterback for the Browns. All old players here. Dick Stanfel. He was on the O line for the Lions for a while, and then Bill Willis played both sides of the ball for the Browns. So those are four guys that are in the Hall of Fame. There was nobody in the NBA recognizable. Nobody in the NHL that was a Hall of Famer, so I didn't put anybody on the list from there. And there was one guy in MLB who stood out to me who's worn 60 for a long period of time. There's a couple guys who wore it for a season here or there that are recognizable, but Dallas Keuchel from the Astros, pitched from the Astros. That was the only guy.
He was a good starter for a number of years, a lefty.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And
But
that's really
weak list today.
our generation for sure. Kegel.
Yeah.
I think he
Yep.
got a big contract somewhere, didn't he? I don't remember exactly
Oh.
where maybe he stayed with Houston for a year or got a contract from them eventually, but you know me, I don't follow baseball enough to know the
Mm-hmm.
crazy other than if I was going to be a professional athlete in any sport, it'd be that because they have guaranteed contracts. So once you get the big one, you're good.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get cut. You don't get nothing like that. Like Madison Bumgarner this year for the Diamondbacks out here, he got what do they call them when you get optioned or whatever they tell you they do? What's that?
Yeah,
That
get
term they
option
give?
back to the minors.
And the Diamondbacks had to pay him like $40 million.
And do you think when you get options, like he just buys everybody dinner all the time? Minor league, you think he upgrades them from buses to planes and things like that?
Probably not. He's probably pissed. I mean, if he's a
Huh?
competitor, I mean, who knows though? Yeah, I'm sure they take care of it. But having a big leaguer in that locker room, I don't know. I could see it being good and toxic at the same time. You know what I mean? Because ego and
Yeah,
everything else. I don't really know. Um,
yeah,
but
be
yeah,
interesting.
very weak list today. Besides a couple Hall of Famers. But it is what it is. But I have a feeling we're gonna get some offensive linemen and stuff coming up here in the next week or 2 or 3 weeks, and 4 weeks of shows because in the '60s, really, that's all you got is offensive linemen. You don't get, you're not gonna get
Yeah.
any baseball. You're not gonna get any basketball. You're not gonna
No.
get any. I think hockey gets good again in the late '60s, mid
Yeah.
'60s, late '60s. So, but from the other two main sports, baseball and basketball, you're gonna get nothing out of the '60s.
Hmm. Hey,
So
did you see who graduated and got their degree this past weekend?
no.
Ray Allen went back to UConn, graduated. So quite a few
See,
years after he stepped on campus, he got his degree. Yeah, he went back and
I,
finished his degree.
I see. I'm very skeptical of things like that because, like, does he really get a degree, or does he get like he showed up and he gets like the piece of paper because he's Ray Allen kind of thing?
I mean, I think he
Because they
probably went
do
back
do
to get it. He's
they.
been out long enough. Like he's been out long enough that I don't think he's getting like an honorary degree. I think he actually went back and got his degree.
Yeah, oh, that's good. I mean, you can, yeah, because they do,
Yeah.
dude. People get honorary degrees all the time. Are you kidding me? If you're rich and you went to a school for like a semester, they're giving you an honorary degree usually.
Yeah, true. True.
So,
Yeah,
but anyways,
but good for him.
good for him. Happy for Ray. So, anyways, Bible verse today, short one, comes from Proverbs, and it comes from Proverbs chapter 8, and it's verse 17. It's very short, very sweet. Read it how you will, and it comes, like I said, Proverbs 8:17. I love those who love me, and those who seek me find me. You couldn't have an easier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 words that describe God more than anything right there. I love those who love me, and those who seek me find me. And that is the absolute truth.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. That's a great one for today.
Yesterday, the other one too is the other one. Now that I have my Bible in front of me, I'm gonna go find it really fast while we're talking here. But where is it? Where is it? Right here, John. Where is it? Where is it? Bear with me here, people. Yesterday, because yesterday was the fifth Sunday of Easter, at church yesterday, and Father John, the big everything, all the readings come from Paul, Acts of the Apostles and Paul to the Corinthians, so yesterday it was 14:6 is a very famous line from John, and it says, "I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." That was the line in church yesterday, and that is one of the John 3:16, John 14:6. There's all these famous ones, but that one, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and is another good one. So there you got a double dose of Bible verses today, because that one was also just in
Hmm.
the back of my mind because I finished Romans and started reading Corinthians this morning, which is good. Finished Romans up yesterday, And after my Proverbs this morning, hopped into Corinthians, which is really good, really, really good as well. So that's your Bible verse. Any thoughts on either one of those now that I gave you two?
Yeah, I mean, the second one we had it at church as well. It was the same one, and
Yeah.
it was just it's interesting because having gone back and started reading the Bible now, getting a chance to really read stories in the Bible and then come back and hear them in church and kind of hear the meaning behind them, hear the priest go into a gospel and really start to explain it. It really starts putting it all together for me, which is fantastic. So yeah, I love that part of
Yeah.
it.
It's great. Like yesterday at Mass History, Father John was talking in his homily. He went all the way back to Genesis, and started with Adam and Eve, and then he was talking about, what came after Genesis, and this, the most well known story is, Cain and Abel, the brothers, and he was talking about that, and it's amazing when he's talking about those books, and he goes into Exodus, in Genesis and Exodus, and he's talking about those books, and I know exactly what he's saying, and I was thinking to myself, how many people in church actually know what he's saying? But I would never know what he was saying if I didn't do all that on my own. You know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
none of your,
Hmm.
as a Catholic, none of those readings that you get in church come from Genesis. Very, very rarely. Not that they never do, but Genesis, Exodus, those
Hmm.
old Leviticus, all the old books. A lot of that stuff you don't get. Um,
Yeah.
Kings and the Old Testament stuff. So, but anyways, that's your Bible verse for the day. So today is a quick hitter topic. We got a bunch of questions here, but there's one thing I did, speaking of quick hitting, I want to talk about really fast before we get into the quick hitter topics. And as you guys know, I run a lot, a real lot. And this year I'll be doing my first 50-mile ultra this year. And I'm so excited, and I just love being out there. And anyway, so the last 2 weeks, there's been a couple prestigious ultra marathons out here in the West. You had the Canyons 100 2 weeks ago, which was in Auburn, California, and then this past week, you had the Cocodona 250. And if you listen to us, you know who Chad Wright is. Chad Wright ran the Cocodona 250 this past week. And I just wanted to touch base because both races are tremendous. But there's a guy who ran. You can follow him on Instagram at AM Glaze, AMGLAZE, AM Glaze. He called it the Coco Canyons 350. So this is where it's nuts. He ran Canyons 100 2 weeks ago, and then a week later ran the Cocodona 250.
Wow.
Right? And here's the kick in the nuts.
Wow.
He finishes the Cocodona 250, and then this past weekend, I think he finished Thursday, because the Cocodona 250 is May 1st to the 6th. You get 5 days essentially to complete it, which is brutal. Because if you go follow Chad Wright, he put a story out on just how absolutely brutal the race was. I don't even know how you call it a race at that point. Yeah, there is a winner, but like it's a war of attrition
Yeah.
with yourself to just finish. So
Absolutely.
this guy ran the Auburn. He ran the Canyons 100, followed it up with the Cocodona 250, and then his wife just ran the Orange County Half Marathon, and he made a promise to her when she signed up for that he would pace her. So not only did he do 350 miles, his wife told him not to do it, and he said, "There's no way I'm not going to not do it." So he went and ran a half marathon the day after, or 2 days after finishing the Cocodona 250, to hold true to his wife, like the promise that he made to his wife that he would pace her. Now, is that not just nuts?
It's kind of crazy, but it's probably a good shakeout for the legs, right? At that point, I mean, what's 13 miles after doing 350? I mean,
Yeah,
really,
I
it's
love how you put
crazy.
that, dude. A good shakeout. Are you kidding me, dude? After all that, a shakeout, dude. That
That's crazy.
and I think he said, I'm going to look it up. The line that he said that I just thought was absolutely phenomenal. Let's see if I can find him. A.M. Glaze. Um, I think the thing that he said, his name is Andrew Glaze, but the thing that he said that was the most amazing thing out of all of it, he said,
Hmm.
I'm going to read the post, right? Had a great time pacing my wifey at the OCF marathon. She told me I wouldn't be able to do it after the Coco Canyon 350 miler. I am a man of my word, and my legs are always hungry. Smile, or you're doing it wrong.
That's so funny. That's great. What a
I'm a
story.
man of my word, and my legs are always hungry. That
That's
is
intense.
tremendous. Oh
Yeah.
man. So anyway, so that was my little story on ultra running. Whether it's cool. Some of these guys are nuts. They're just absolutely nuts. So, So let's hop into these quick hitters, Dave. I know you put a bunch of questions in here. We're each going to have an answer, and we'll move through them and get to our book recommendation and get this quick hit episode wrapped up. So you start off with the first one. I'll ask it. You answer. I'll answer. All right.
Sounds good.
First question. What's one thing you can do to impact your health today that doesn't cost a dime?
Well, I've got two, actually. Two good ones. The first is drink more water. For me, anytime I'm drinking the appropriate amount of water, which for me is at least a gallon a day, I feel completely different. My body's flushed. I feel good, hydrated. When I don't, I've got headaches. I just don't feel the same. I don't have, more lethargic. I don't have that energy. So that's the first. Second for me is just to get outside and go for a walk. In my job now, I do a lot of sitting throughout the day, more than I ever have in my life. And it's hard. So one thing I found that I do is I just get up and I move. I get the legs moving. I get the blood circulating, and I just feel better throughout the day doing that instead of sitting. I have more energy, and when I get out of work, I'm not as tired as I probably would be if I hadn't done that.
Perfect. My answer: go outside and move. Obviously, that's the most important thing you can do. Is just go outside and move. Whether it's just a walk or whatever the case may be, move your body. And then another one that doesn't cost you anything and actually will save you money. Stop eating after dinner. 99 times out of 100, what you eat after dinner is not going to be good for you. And you'll save yourself on a bunch of bullshit snacks that you're buying at the stores. Oreos, potato chips, chocolate, bullshit, all not good for you. So stop. Those are my two. Go outside and move. Stop eating after dinner and watch what will happen to you. Your body, if you just stop eating after dinner, let's just say you eat dinner at 5 or 6, and you give your body that 12 hours, 14 hours, depending on what time you wake up and eat, that body fasting time, you will see transformations so fast if you just stop eating after dinner. And for me, this past week, I didn't, because my guilty pleasure is peanut butter. You know that. I love peanut butter more than anything. And I don't eat, for someone as healthy and as fit as I am, I like junky peanut butter. I like Walmart brand peanut butter, Jiffy, Skippy, Jif, whatever the hell you call them. Those are my things. Like by the teaspoon.
Skippy Jif. That's a new peanut butter. Skippy Jif.
By the tablespoon. It's my favorite. It's my favorite, like just, snack. And it's peanut butter. And yesterday I had finished a 7-day no peanut butter fast for the week. So I had 0 peanut butter, which is, if you know me, anybody in my household, the girls couldn't believe it because I never go like more than a day without it. So at the beginning of last week, Monday to Sunday, I did not eat any peanut butter, not a single taste of peanut butter. And it was, so what did I do on Sunday night? Like every other asshole, I celebrated with 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. And I woke up and I was like, why the fuck did I do that? But it's amazing how your body adapts. You go a week without something that's bad for you, and then your body's used to not having it. And then when you put it back in your system, you feel like shit. Yeah. So that's my story on that. What's the next question, Dave?
All right. What's the one thing you can do right now to save money?
Okay. This is an interesting one. And for me, this is another lesson we just learned. Find an alternate solution to your problem. And I guess from a money standpoint, that costs less, right? You're still going to spend something, but that you're going to save money by not spending. And for us, this past week, we moved into the house, right? Caroline needed a new dresser. She destroyed her dresser that she had. And the dresser was Andine's brother's from 35 years ago. So she had destroyed it. So we threw it out. We didn't bring it back with us. It was irreparable. There was nothing you could do to fix it. Andine had already painted it and put new handles on it and blah, 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 blah. So this past week when we first got back to the house, Caroline needs a dresser. We're not in the camper anymore. And so what did we do? We went to all the furniture stores, everything. And fucking A, by the way, dressers are so fucking expensive right now. It's unbelievable. I mean, $500.
You were laughing at me about my kitchen table.
Yeah, $1,000 for a dresser, $800, $500. So I came up with this idea. I said, you know what? Why don't we? Because we always have those those 3-drawer Sterilite like things on wheels.
Yeah,
they're like they're stackable. I said, why don't we just and they're maybe 30 inches wide, and they have 3 drawers. I said, why don't we just get 2 of those, stack them on top of each other, paint them whatever color you want, and they will match the room, and then it'll be a cheap dresser. And then if it breaks, we don't feel bad. So Andine's like, actually, Brett, for the first time in my life, I think you have a great idea when it comes to this stuff. And I was like, dude, I'm buying a lotto ticket. So we went to Walmart.
You should.
As you can tell, this room is gray. This is their room. And I got 2 of those tote things. $28 a piece. $56. She has a dresser, a functional dresser with 6 drawers. And I didn't spend $500. So now that's not something that's going to consistently save me money every day. but that's something that just saved me $444 by doing that versus going out and buying a dresser that I'm either she's going to scuff up and we're going to get mad about, or eventually break, or I'm going to have to move and it's going to be heavy. So, and by the way, furniture is made like shit these days.
Yeah, it is. Not as quality. That's a good idea. That's
Yeah.
a good saving tip right there. I like it.
Yeah.
For me, it's commit to no spend days. We've talked about this
Mm-hmm.
before on the show. No spend days are an incredible thing. You might be asking, what is a no spend day? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. You don't spend any money for an entire day. Now, what does that mean? Well, you don't stop for coffee. You don't get breakfast or lunch at work. You don't stop at the grocery store after work to pick up stuff for dinner. You start spending extra money that way. So what you do is you say, I'm not going to spend money however many days of the week it's going to be. Start with something manageable. Maybe it's, I'm not going to spend money 3 days this week. So
Mm-hmm.
those 3 days, you make your coffee at home, you pack your lunch, you have a meal plan already made out that you went to the grocery store early in the week and you bought your stuff, so you don't have to stop at the grocery store. There's no stopping for gas. There's no stopping for anything. You have no spend days, and you'll be amazed at how much money you still have in your account after the end of the week that you probably normally would have just been through. And I challenge everybody who's listening or watching, when was the last time you went through a day and you actually didn't spend any money? Go back
That's
and
a
take
good
a
one.
look and really be truthful with yourself. Chances are you probably spend money almost every single day of the week.
And that if there's anything good like that came out of COVID, and I mean, besides me changing money habits over 3 years ago, was also the fact that working remote, you don't spend as much money because you don't go out,
Mm-hmm.
you don't drive to the office and things like that. Whereas you're guilty of it when you drive to the office. You pull in for gas, you run into like a gas station to grab something,
Yep.
you come back, you know what I mean? Oh, we don't have anything prepped for dinner. We forgot to take something out. Shit, well, I might as well stop at
Mm-hmm.
the grocery store on my way home, like you said. So
Yep.
that's one good thing being home most of the time. You save a bunch of money. You know what I mean? Because I went to the office
Mm-hmm.
one day last week. The few times I've been to the office since we've been back, I don't care. Do you? You do you. But everyone goes out to lunch. Everybody goes out to lunch.
Yeah, it's true. It's a lot. Hey, I'm guilty of it too. I'm at work. I'm just like, I'm just gonna get something. I'm gonna get something at work. It's hard. But you gotta be focused with it. So if you focus on no spend days, challenge yourself, make it a competition. A lot of people excel with competition with things. That's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be one thing you can do that's really gonna make an impact quick.
Cool. Next question.
All
What?
right.
Ready? What's one
Mm-hmm.
thing you can do to be more intentional with your faith?
Man, this one for me started this year and really most recently in the last couple months, and that's pick up the Bible and read it. Read it every
Mm-hmm.
day. If you combine that with going to church on the weekends, and like I was kind of saying when you were talking about the Bible verse in the beginning, you really start to piece everything together when you get to hear from the explanations. Because sometimes it's hard. The Bible stories are hard. You really got to put in some thought, some critical thinking. Like, what is that? What does this actually mean to
Mm-hmm.
me? It's interesting when you see those things come together. So for me, it's read the Bible.
Yeah. For me, one thing you can do every day takes no time at all. Pray before you go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Before you can hit your knees. You can lay down and pray. You can stand up and pray. You can pray while you're in the shower. But devote a few minutes every day to self prayer. Right, just you in your thoughts and talking to the big man upstairs. I mean, I do every night. Not 100%. I'm not 100% every night because there are nights where you fall asleep or whatnot. But I do my very best to make sure I pray every single night to thank God for the day, and I always put a little forward thinking prayer in there where if I'm lucky enough to see the next day, thank you, So
Sure.
um, pray every night.
Great. All right. Ready for the next one?
Mm-hmm.
All right. What's the one thing you can do to be a better father today?
Show my kids hard work. So instead of slacking, do something productive. So because if like I sit in front of the screen, my phone, TV, computer, then they think that's all right. So show them hard work, productive work, where I'm actually doing something that produces an end result. Whether that's an extra phone call for work, actually doing something for work if I'm in front of my computer, something productive.
That's great. For me, it's put down technology, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is, when you're with your kids. Leave it in the other room, completely detached from it. It's one thing we've noticed. Kids pick up on it. They're like, oh, why are you on your phone? Why are you on your
Mm-hmm.
phone? You're not paying any attention. They notice that shit all the
Yep.
time. They do. So it's
Yep.
important. Put it away. I've found that when I do that, when I get home from work now, most days, unless I'm waiting on something or I need to have a conversation, most days I put my phone in on my nightstand on the charger when I get home, and I usually don't go and get it till after the kids go to bed for the night. And that
Yeah.
has made a big difference in just kind of the way that we approach the evening. And I've noticed my own self, just like my attentiveness to them, the conversations we have are better, they're deeper. And I think the kids really pick up on that and notice that.
Yeah, I envy your situation because for me, my phone's always in my pocket all the fucking time, and I hate it. But my job requires it. Essentially, if I want to get paid and I want business, I got to answer my phone. What I, the
Yep.
fact of having a job like yours, where they don't want you taking your work home, dude. Day's over, go home.
Nope.
Like that,
Yep.
I envy the day that I get to literally eliminate social media and cut my phone time down to nothing. That's what that I envy
Mm-hmm.
that day. It will come eventually, but
Yeah, you're not there right now, and
yeah,
that is what it is. That's your industry, so that makes
yeah,
sense. All
perfect.
right, here's one for you. I threw an extra in here just for you.
Okay.
If you had $50 to spend on fitness, what would you do with that $50? Some people are like, oh, I want to go to the gym, but all you have is $50. What's going to give you the most bang for your buck?
So outside of a gym that would charge $5 a month, which I don't think that exists, because
Mm-hmm.
if you're committed to your fitness and you could find a gym for $5, $6 a month, then that would be the best way to spend your $50 because you have the access to all the equipment, right? To all the weights, to all the bands, to all the stuff, to the treadmills, to the bikes. But if you did not have a gym, which still don't think exists for $5 a month, um, I would buy. Obviously, you have $50. I'd say no yoga mat because if you have a carpet in your house somewhere, that is equivalent. So that would save you some money. I would buy two dumbbells. Um, if you buy 20 pounders, that would probably cost you $40. Now you're down to 10. And then I would buy a jump rope. So if you buy a weighted jump rope and two 20-pound dumbbells, two 15-pound dumbbells, depending on what your size is, um, that's what I would do because you can do absolutely everything with Mother Earth and two dumbbells. And then the jump rope would just get you extra cardio and build your leg muscles up really, really good, your calf muscles and things without having to worry about pounding asphalt or running up hills or putting a weight vest on or anything like that. And then if I had two choices, maybe I would buy the thing is you can't find a weight vest cheap enough now. You can what I mean? So
Yeah.
that would eat the whole budget because a weight vest would be a great thing to throw in there because then you could do everything with it. You could do squats with it, you could do lunges with it, you could do
Mm-hmm.
push-ups with it, you could walk up a hill with it, you could just walk in general with it, run with it, you know what I mean? So but if I had the strict budget, I would get two dumbbells. I think 20 pounders, depending on your size, you can essentially do everything. You can get good bicep curls. You can get, an extra 40 pounds of resistance on squats. You can get some shoulders. You can get some chest. You can get some triceps, and then jump rope for extra cardio, which would be good. So and you could do everything. You essentially could do. You could do everything with no weights. But if you had the money to spend, then that's what I would do. I'd get two dumbbells, and I would get a jump rope.
Nice.
So, quick hitting episode. Questions are finished. You put the book recommendation in there today. I noticed, and it is a book that we've spoken about a lot on this show. But you have reasons why you put it in there. So I want you to take the book recommendation for the day.
Yeah, for me, it is the Bible, and I don't have it with me, but I know you do. I think you've got it right there. It's the Bible. There's a bunch of different versions. Pick the one that works for you. It has made such a difference. Like I've said it a couple times now in this show. I made it a goal this year to read the Bible more, and I have. And over the last couple months specifically, I've been reading it every day. This move has been challenging, and it's brought a lot of interesting feelings into the mix. And picking that up every day, I know where I stand. It is the blueprint of life right there. If you want to find the keys to happiness, the keys to success, the keys to being a good person, that's where you look. That's where it is. All the answers are there. You just have to read it and find them. And yes, some of the things can be difficult to read. Read it a few times. I've gone back and I've read the same book 3 different times because I want to try and really understand it. It doesn't matter how fast you go through it. It doesn't matter how slow you go through it. It just matters that you start to learn it and you start to understand it. And if you do have questions with it, following that up by going to church and starting to get a better in-depth education from there about what those things mean have made all the difference to me. And I've started to really put it together and see it click and understand what faith truly means to me. I don't think I really understood up until that point. For a long time, it was just going to church, and it was like, oh, we got to go to church, got to go to church. Well, why do we have to go to church? What's the point? Well, it's because you have to. Well, that's not a good
Mm-hmm.
answer, right? So we grow up going to catechism and CCD, all those things. And it's like, all right, well, but why? Why am I doing this? And I think I've finally gotten to the point in my life over the last couple of years where I've started to explore that more. Doing this podcast has helped with that. Has definitely helped me become more faithful and get a better understanding of my faith and why it's important to me. But
Mm-hmm.
reading the Bible really has helped put it all together for me, because things that are in there, man, that you read, like, wow, this is so true, because you see it all playing out throughout the world when you
Mm-hmm.
see people and you see stories and hear things, and it's amazing how it really does translate. And it's been an impact book for me. We've done it on the show before, but it was worth noting again.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's the good book for a reason. You touched on it well. I don't need to. Like I said, I've been reading the Bible every day for a long time. So definitely someplace, if you need a place to start right there. If you're finding yourself going through trials and tribulations, grab a Bible. If you find yourself going through relationship problems, grab a Bible. If you're going through work problems, if you're going through any problems in life, pick up the good book and start reading, and let yourself go. Make yourself. That's the other thing I can't stress enough, because it is a very difficult book to interpret. A lot of the stuff, you have to submerge yourself in it. You can't be like, oh, I'm reading the Bible today, while your head's wandering 45 different places. You have to you have to submit to the book, and you have to read it, and you have to be into it. And if you find yourself daydreaming, then stop, because you're not getting yourself anywhere. You have to immerse yourself, let everything go, and read. And if you know what I mean, and go that way, and that's why sometimes, because it is a book that's difficult to understand and interpret, sometimes you have to just be okay with reading a paragraph and moving on, because you can't, if you start to drift, you're all done, So
Yeah, it's true.
But great book recommendation, Dave. Great show, quick hitting episode. Still 30-something minutes long for a quick hitting episode, but as always, guys, we appreciate when you listen to it. Let everybody know, spread the word about us. We've been doing this now for over a year, haven't missed a week, and we keep coming back. So we'd love to grow the audience, as much as we can organically. So thank you for tuning in. Dave, take something.
Yeah, continue to live the full force life. Please, if you like the message, share it with somebody else. Help get this message out to as many fathers as we can. Keep living the full force life, and we'll see you next week.